What is up guys? As you may have known, Chery is officially coming back to Malaysia and they are promising to be better than ever with a proper after-sales service network and even a CKD plant here in Malaysia. But that's not the focus for us today because we are here at a media preview event where they are showing off 5 of the cars that they've earmarked for launch here in Malaysia. Now we don't have too much time with each of these cars, so I'm not going to go into too much details, but with all that being said, let's go and check out the cars, shall we? The first car we're going to be looking at today is called the Omoda 5, which is Chery's first proper global model. Here in Malaysia, it's going to be offered in 3 variants eventually, but Chery says it's going to be starting with a 1.5-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, making around 154 horsepower and 230 Nm of torque. Now this engine will be paired to a CVT gearbox with power sent to the front wheels, but eventually there's also going to be a 1.6-litre turbocharged direct injection engine, making 194 horsepower and 290 Nm of torque, and that engine will be paired to a 7-speed DCT gearbox. And for that engine, Chery will also possibly be offering a all-wheel drive option as well. Now, aside from all of these internal combustion variants, Chery also says that they'll be unveiling a fully electric BEV variant for this Omoda 5 here in Malaysia. Now, they haven't shared any of the specifications for that model yet, but keep your eyes peeled. Now, the main highlight of this Omoda 5, as you can see, is most obviously the new Art of Motion design language, characterized by sharp lines and funky angles all throughout the exterior. Now, the reason they've gone with such a funky design is because this model here, as Chery says, is actually designed for a younger buying crowd from 25 to 30 years old. The most eye-catching element, I think, of the entire design is this grille here, which Chery calls a drilled-in grille. But according to my videographer, he actually got a bit of trypophobia just by looking at it. There's also a floating roof design at the C-pillar here at the back, as well as 18-inch alloy wheels on all 4 corners. Another design highlight that I really like is this sharp-looking T-shaped daytime running light that also doubles as a sequential turn indicators. And down there, that's the fully LED headlights, and at the back, you also get fully LED tail lights as well. Inside the cabin here, it actually feels and looks quite premium and with a modern touch to it. In terms of design, one of the main highlights is actually the single horizontal line across the entire dashboard, which hides all of the air vents in a very neat manner. And to elevate the premiumness of the cabin, there's also all of this detailed knurling on the switch elements on the steering wheel, as well as this unique looking design element for the ambient lighting on the dashboard. Now, in terms of equipment, all of these are not finalized for our Malaysian market just yet, but one thing that they've highlighted on is actually these twin 12.3-inch displays up top the dashboard. They are hidden behind a single pane of glass, and the infotainment display actually has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. Next up, we have the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, or as Chery Malaysia's PR manager calls it, the Big Daddy. And that's because this is actually a 7-seater SUV competing against the like of the Tiguan All-Space as well as the Mazda CX-8. Now, just like the Omoda, they'll also be offered in multiple variants here in Malaysia, but all of them will be powered by the same 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, making 250 horsepower and 390 Nm of torque. And the power is sent to either the front wheels or all wheels via a 7-speed DCT gearbox. But aside from this model, Chery has also shown off the Tiggo 8 PHEV that is also going to be launched here in Malaysia, and for that, it's powered by a hybrid powertrain consisting of a 1.5-litre turbocharged engine, 2 electric motors, as well as what they call the 3DHT gearbox. DHT stands for Dedicated Hybrid Transmission. And what's cool about this gearbox is that it actually allows up to 9 different drive modes, and the car can actually function in both series and parallel hybrid driving modes. Now, as for looks, because this is the most luxurious flagship product under the Chery Tiggo Pro series, it also looks the part with a more matured styling characterized by this signature Chery grille with a chrome pin effect, the fully LED headlights with sequential turn indicators, as well as 18-inch alloy wheels on all 4 corners. Sitting inside the cabin here, the first thing that I noticed is just how plush everything feels, especially these seats over here. The leather is just so smooth. But aside from that, the entire cabin design is also pretty upmarket, I would say, with a sort of brown colour soft touch padding across the entire dashboard. Now, I want to point your attention to this screen over here. This is actually the 3rd screen on the dashboard, which is designed specifically for the climate control system. It is a touchscreen operation system and you can set basically everything about your climate control through this screen over here. But luckily you don't have to use the touchscreen to change your temperature or your fan speed because there are actual physical dials over here. Well done. The dashboard design on the hybrid model is actually slightly different. The hybrid model gets the twin 12.3-inch displays floating on top of the dashboard, and they are joined in just one single pane of glass. That does actually look quite a bit more modern than this, I think, but this is still not too bad. Now, because this is a 3-row 7-seater model, we of course have to test how it's like sitting on the third row. Now, to get to the back, there's a latch over here, or lever I should say, and you pull that and the entire seat just tumbles forward and you can push it ahead. And climbing in, well, the entry is a little bit tight, but I think still doable. And when you pull the seats back, well, this is not the most rearward position, but in terms of space, this is still, I think it's okay. If you actually push the seats back though, it might get a little bit tight. This headrest here, you can push it all up, and there's actually an individual climate control zone for the third row seats at the back here. So in terms of equipment and feature sets for the third row, I think it's actually quite well equipped. And in terms of comfort, if you're just going on a short drive around the city, I think comfort levels at the back here is actually quite decent. Now coming down one level from the Tigo 8 Pro, you have this Tigo 7 Pro, and you can compare this to the likes of the X70 or the Honda CR-V, but in terms of sizing, it's actually slightly in between the X50 and X70, I think. It's going to be offered in two powertrain options, the same as the Omoda 5. So you get a 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 154 horsepower and 230 Nm of torque. That is paired to a CVT gearbox, but there's also going to be a 1.6 litre turbocharged direct injection engine making 194 horsepower and 219 Nm of torque. That is paired to a 7-speed DCT gearbox, and you also get the option of a all-wheel drive variant in the future. Now in terms of looks, it doesn't actually look all that different from the Tigo 8 Pro, but maybe a little bit more youthful. But what I like the most about the design is actually at the back. The Tigo 7 Pro here is actually the only model in the entire Tigo Pro series to have a full width tail lights. And when it lights up, it actually gives the car quite a muscular appearance or stance on the road. And well, I actually really like this a lot. The difference between the Tigo 7 and Tigo 8 Pro really isn't all that much, especially in the cockpit over here. You get the same 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment display here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto again, but the instrument cluster here is actually a little bit smaller. Also different is the fact that this here is just a digital display instead of the touchscreen you get on the Tigo 8 Pro, but you still get the same physical switches over here. There's actually one thing that I don't like on both the 8 and 7, which is the fact that this is all gloss black plastic, and just touching it a little bit is already filled with fingerprints. I think if you live with it for a little while, it might get scratched up quite easily. And last but not least, we have the little baby of the Tigo Pro family. This is the Tigo 4 Pro, and in terms of powertrain offerings, there's only one, which is the same 1.5 litre turbocharged engine as the Tigo 7 as well as the Omoda 5. The engine is paired to a CVT gearbox to send drive to the front wheels. Now in terms of looks, because this is the little baby, instead of the more luxurious looks the 7 and 8 has, this one has a bit more of a rugged appearance with a sort of like bash plate looking bumpers down there. But despite that, it still shares a lot of the similarities in terms of design elements, since it's still a Tigo Pro series model as well. Now that includes the signature grille over here with also the chrome pinned design elements. You also get LED headlights as well as 17-inch wheels as standard. And looking at it from its profile, from where you're at, I think it sort of looks like the old Haval M4, don't you think? Now, even though this is the quote-unquote entry-level model of the series, the interior design here is anything but, especially in terms of equipment, because you still get this 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment display up here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also a digital instrument cluster over here that somewhat looks like the Proton X50's instrument cluster. There's also a dual zone climate control over here, but unlike the other two models, there's no screen. It's just a touch panel with all of your info displaying on the infotainment display on top over here. But what I like the most about this entry-level model is the fact that there's still soft touch material on the dashboard in 2 colors and even a sunroof over here. Now, if the Omoda 5 is designed for buyers ranging from 25 to 30 years old, I would think of this maybe like a 18 to 25 years old, or when your parents are buying you as a college-going kid your first car. So there you have it, the 5 Chery models that will be launching in Malaysia very soon. And it's gonna kick off with phase 1 of the launch, which includes the Omoda 5 as well as the Tigo 8 Pro. But when that will happen, well, Chery isn't saying just yet, but I don't think it's gonna be that much more longer, so keep your eyes peeled. Which of these 5 really piqued your interest? For me, I really like the looks of the Omoda 5. Let us know which one you like, leave it in the comments down below. But for now, that's been it. I'll see you in the next one.